Namaste dosto and welcome back to the Kapil Gupta Career Pod Show. And I'm your host Kapil. And today we are diving into something that could literally change the trajectory of your entire life. Imagine this. You're sitting in a cafe in Melbourne, London or Toronto, scrolling through your phone, watching other students laugh and chat while you eat lunch alone. Sounds familiar? Here's the thing that nobody tells you about studying overseas. Your degree certificates will get you through the door, but the connections you make will build your entire career. And I'm not talking about collecting business cards like Pokemon cards. I'm talking about creating genuine, soul deep friendships that will support you, challenge you, and open doors you never knew existed. You know what's crazy? Some of the most successful Indians I know, from Silicon Valley CEOs to Bollywood directors, didn't just succeed because they were brilliant. They succeeded because they mastered the art of human connection while studying abroad. They turned strangers into friends, classmates into business partners, and professors into lifelong investors. But here's where most students mess up. They think connections happen naturally like magic. Arey yaar, I'll just be myself and people will like me. Wrong. Building lifelong connections is a skill, just like coding or public speaking. And today, I'm going to teach you exactly how to master this skill. Now, whether you're planning to study in the United States, UK, Canada, Australia, or anywhere else in the world, this episode will be a roadmap to never eating lunch alone again. And we'll cover 5 game changing strategies that will transform you from an invisible international student into someone everyone wants to know. So grab your notebook because we're about to unlock the secret to building a global network that will serve you for life. Hello all, I'm Kapil Gupta, founder of Study Abroad Academy. I'm on a mission to coach and mentor 100,000 high school students and help them realize the dream of studying in the best universities of the world and build happy and successful careers for themselves. So now, let me start with a story that will blow your mind. Raj, a computer science student from Pune, went to study at the University of Toronto. Instead of randomly trying to befriend everyone, he made a list. On one side, he wrote professional growth. He wanted to meet future tech entrepreneurs and industry professionals. On the other side, cultural learning. He wanted to understand Canadian culture deeply. And finally, personal development. He wanted to find people who would challenge him to become better. Now, this simple exercise changed everything. When he met someone new, he wasn't just making small talk about the weather. He had clear intentions. With his Canadian roommate, he focused on cultural exchange, learning about hockey while teaching him about cricket. Now, with his classmate who had startup dreams, he discussed business ideas and even started a small project together. With his professor who had worked at Google, he built a mentorship relationship. The result? Today, Raj runs a successful tech company with offices in Toronto and Mumbai. His Canadian roommate is now his business partner. His professor became his investor. Now, this didn't happen by accident. It happened because Raj was intentional about his connections from day one. Now, here's what most Indian students get wrong. They think networking means being fake or using people. But that's not what we are talking about here. We are talking about authentic relationships building with clear purposes. When you know what you want from your relationships, you can give value in return. It's not about taking, it's about creating mutual benefit. So before you even board that plane, Sit down and ask yourself three questions. First, what professional skills do you want to develop? Maybe you want to learn about entrepreneurship or understand how Western companies operate or build technical expertise. Second, what cultural experiences do you want to have? Perhaps you want to understand local customs, learn a new language, or explore different perspectives on life. And third, what personal growth do you seek? Maybe you want to become more confident, learn to public speak, or develop leadership skills. So once you have these goals clear, every interaction becomes purposeful. You're not just randomly chatting with people, you're strategically building relationships that align with your growth. And here's the beautiful part: when you approach relationships with genuine interest in mutual growth, people can sense your authenticity. They want to be part of your journey because they know you're invested in theirs too. So remember, the connections you make overseas aren't just for your university years. These are relationships that will span decades, cross continents, and create opportunities you can't even imagine today. But it all starts with being clear about what you want and what you can offer in return. And here's a harsh truth that might hurt your feelings, but I need to say it. Most Indian students studying overseas live in what I call the Desi bubble. They hang out only with other Indians, eat at Indian restaurants, watch Bollywood movies, and complain that locals don't want to be friends with them. And then they wonder why they didn't make any meaningful international connections during their entire degree. So let me tell you about Priya, a management student at the University of Sydney. In her first semester, she did exactly this. She joined the Indian Students Association, lived with Indian roommates, and spent weekends cooking dal chawal and watching Shah Rukh Khan movies. Don't get me wrong, connecting with your roots is important. But if you only stay in your comfort zone, you're wasting the biggest opportunity of your life. Everything changed when Priya decided to step out of her bubble. She joined the university's debate club. Even though she was terrified of public speaking in English, she volunteered at a local animal shelter, even though she never owned a pet. She started attending the weekly trivia nights at the campus club, even though she knew nothing about Australian pop culture. And here's what happened. At the debate club, she met Marcus, a law student who became her study partner and eventually helped her land an internship at his father's consulting firm. At the animal shelter, she connected with Sarah, a local who introduced her to the Australian way of life and remained a close friend even after Priya returned to India. And at trivia nights, she became part of a regular group that included students from 5 different countries. The secret is this: authentic connections happen when you are doing things you genuinely care about alongside other people who share those interests. If you love photography, join the photography club. If you're passionate about social causes, volunteer with local charities. If you enjoy sports, join intramural teams, even if you're not the best player. But here's the key strategy that most students miss: don't just join activities, contribute to them. Volunteer to organize events, offer to help with social media, suggest new ideas. And when you become a contributor rather than just a participant, people notice you. They remember you. They want to work with you on other projects. Local community events are gold mines for connections, but you need to approach them correctly. Don't go with the mindset of collecting contacts. Go with genuine curiosity about the local culture and desire to contribute. Attend local festivals, join community sports leagues, participate in neighborhood cleanup drives. Now, these experiences give you stories to share, common ground to build upon, and demonstrate that you're not just a temporary visitor. You are someone who cares about the community. And here's a pro tip that changed everything for me. Learn about local customs and current events. Nothing impresses locals more than an international student who knows about their sports teams, understands their political issues, and can joke about their cultural quirks. It shows respect and genuine interest in their world. And remember, every person you meet is connected to dozens of other people. When you make a genuine connection with one local, you're not just gaining one friend, you're gaining access to their entire network. And that's how you transform an outsider looking in to an insider with deep, meaningful connections. Let me share something that might surprise you. The biggest barrier to building international connections isn't language, it's the fear of saying the wrong thing. I've seen brilliant Indian students with perfect English scores sit quietly in group discussions, not because they can't speak, but because they are terrified of cultural misunderstandings. So here's a story about Arjun, an engineering student at MIT. During his first group project, he stayed silent about brainstorming sessions. His American teammates thought he wasn't interested or didn't have ideas. And in reality, Arjun was full of innovative thoughts but was scared that his direct communication style might come across as rude or arrogant. Now, this cultural anxiety was sabotaging his connections before they even began. And everything changed when his professor taught him about intercultural communication. The first lesson was revolutionary. Active listening isn't just about hearing words, it's about understanding context, emotions, and cultural nuances. And when his teammate Jessica mentioned she was pretty excited about the weekend, Arjun learned that Americans often understate their emotions. She wasn't just pretty excited, she was thrilled because she was meeting her boyfriend's parents for the first time. Now, this awareness transformed how Arjun engaged with his teammates. So instead of just focusing on technical discussions, he started asking follow up questions. How are you feeling about meeting his parents? Now, this simple question opened up a deeper conversation about relationships, cultural differences between American and Indian dating customs, and personal anxieties. And suddenly, Jessica wasn't just a project teammate, she was becoming a friend. The magic happens when you master the art of open ended questions. Instead of asking, did you have a good weekend? Try, what made your weekend special? So instead of, do you like Indian food? Ask, what's your experience been with different cuisines? Now, these questions invite storytelling, create emotional connections, and show genuine interest in the other person's experiences. But here's where cultural sensitivity becomes crucial. What works in Indian conversations might not work internationally. In India, we often show care by asking personal questions. Are you married? How much do you earn? Why don't you have children yet? And in many Western cultures, these questions can make people uncomfortable. So learn to read social cues, understand personal boundaries, and adapt your communication style accordingly. So here's my favorite technique for breaking down cultural barriers, the cultural exchange approach. So instead of hiding your Indian background or trying to fit in by abandoning your identity, celebrate it strategically. Share interesting stories about Indian festivals, explain the logic behind Indian customs, cook Indian dishes for your friends, but do it in a way that invites questions and creates dialogue rather than making people feel excluded. For example, when Diwali comes around, don't just say it's our festival of lights. Explain the deeper meaning. Diwali represents the victory of light over darkness, knowledge over ignorance. We light lamps to symbolize inner light that protects us from spiritual darkness. It's also a way of celebrating new beginnings and prosperity. Now, this approach makes people curious about your culture while creating opportunities for them to share their own traditions. Body language and non verbal communication are equally important. In India, we might avoid direct eye contact out of respect, but in many Western cultures, this can be interpreted as disinterest or dishonesty. So learn to adapt your non verbal communication while staying true to your core personality. Now, the goal isn't to become someone else, it's to become a bridge between cultures. So, when you master intercultural communication, you become the person who helps others understand different perspectives, resolves cultural misunderstandings, and brings diverse groups together. And this skill alone can make you invaluable in any international setting. And here's something that will shock you: the average international friendship lasts only as long as the degree program. Why? Because once people graduate and move to different countries, they lose touch. They rely on casual, let's keep in touch promises instead of building systematic ways to maintain relationships across time zones and continents. Let me tell you about Sneha. She studied at the University of Melbourne and created what I call a connection ecosystem using technology. She didn't just collect phone numbers and Instagram handles, she built a sophisticated system that kept her relationships alive long after graduation. First, she created themed WhatsApp groups for different purposes. She had a Melbourne foodies group where her international friends shared restaurant recommendations and food photos from their home countries. Then she had a career hunters group where classmates shared job opportunities, interview tips, and professional updates. And then she had a travel buddies group where friends coordinated visits when they were in each other's cities. But here's where Sneha got really smart. She used scheduling apps to set up regular virtual coffee chats. Every second Saturday morning, which was Friday evening for her American friends, and Saturday night for her European connections. She hosted virtual hangouts, and sometimes it was just catching up. Sometimes they played online games, and sometimes they watched movies together using Netflix Party. She also created collaborative Spotify playlists where friends could add songs from their cultures. So, this simple idea became a beautiful way to share musical memories and discover new artists. When someone added a song, it often sparked conversations about why that song was meaningful to them, creating deeper emotional connections. And social media became a relationship maintenance tool, but she used it strategically. Instead of just liking photos, she left meaningful comments that referenced shared memories or asked thoughtful questions. So, when a friend posted about a career milestone, she didn't just comment congratulations. She wrote things like, "Remember when you were worried about that presentation skills class? Look at you now, leading an entire team. So proud of your journey." LinkedIn became her professional relationship hub. She didn't just connect with people, she engaged meaningfully with their content, shared opportunities that might interest them, and wrote genuine recommendations highlighting specific experiences they had shared. And when a German friend Klaus started a startup, Sneha introduced him to Indian investors through her LinkedIn network. But here's the most powerful strategy she used: she became a connector. She started introducing friends from different circles to each other. Her Canadian friend, who was interested in sustainable fashion, met her Indian friend, who was working in ethical manufacturing. Her Australian mate, who loved Indian classical music, connected with a Chennai friend who was a trained dancer. And by becoming the person who brought others together, Sneha became central to multiple networks. How cool is that? The key is consistency over intensity. Instead of having long, irregular conversations, Sneha maintained frequent light touches, a quick thinking of you message during someone's exam period, sharing an article that reminded her of a conversation they had, congratulating someone on their cultural holidays. These small gestures kept relationships warm and showed that she genuinely cared. The technology also helped her create shared experiences despite the distance. She organized virtual cooking sessions where friends cooked their traditional dishes simultaneously over video calls. She started book clubs where international friends read the same book and discussed it monthly. She even coordinated virtual travel experiences where friends gave online tours of their cities to the group. And the result? 5 years after graduation, Sneha's network spans four continents. When she decided to expand her business internationally, her friends became her first customers, partners, and advisors. And when she wanted to relocate to Canada, her Toronto friend helped her navigate immigration and find housing. And when she got married, friends from around the world joined her virtual ceremony. So, technology isn't just about staying in touch, it's about continuing to create new memories and experiences together despite being physically apart. And here's the brutal truth that nobody talks about: most networking fails because people treat relationships like vending machines. They put in minimal effort and expect maximum returns. They connect with someone, exchange pleasantries, and then disappear until they need something. This approach might work for transactional relationships, but it will never create the lifelong bonds that transform careers and lives. Let me share the story of Vikram, who studied at Oxford and created what I call the compound effect of relationships. Instead of collecting hundreds of shallow connections, he focused on nurturing 50 meaningful relationships that have paid dividends for over a decade. Vikram's secret was his follow up system. He didn't just say hello, let's keep in touch, and hope for the best. He created a simple but effective relationship management approach. Every person he met went into one of three categories: professional contacts, cultural friends, and personal mentors. Each category had different nurturing strategies and contact frequencies. For professional contacts, Vikram focused on career relevant interactions. He sent monthly industry articles with personal notes like, saw this piece about fintech regulation and remembered our conversation about compliance challenges. What's your take? He shared job opportunities even when they weren't relevant to him personally. He congratulated people on career milestones and offered specific help based on his expertise. But here's where most students fail: they only reach out when they need something. Vikram flipped this approach. He reached out more often to give value than to ask for favors. When his friend Emma mentioned struggling with understanding Indian markets for a consulting project, Vikram spent 2 hours on a video call explaining the nuances and connected her with three Indian business contacts. 6 months later, when Vikram was looking for opportunities in London, Emma recommended him to a company without him even asking. For cultural friends, the approach was different. These were the people who helped him understand local customs, showed him hidden gems in the city, and became his chosen family away from home. With them, Vikram focused on creating shared experiences and memories. He organized annual reunions, planned group trips, and maintained traditions like celebrating each other's cultural festivals virtually. And personal mentors required the most strategic approach. These were professors, industry professionals, and senior students who could guide his career development. Vikram understood that mentorship isn't a one way street. He had to provide value in return. He helped his professors with research, volunteered for their projects, and connected them with their other talented Indian students. and he became known as someone who followed through on commitments and exceeded expectations. And the compound effect started showing results 3 years after graduation. When Vikram wanted to start his own company, his Oxford friends became his investors. When he needed to expand to European markets, his cultural friends provided local expertise and connections. And when he faced a major business challenge, his mentors offered guidance that prevented costly mistakes. And here's what people most don't realize: lifelong relationships require intentional investment over time. And the key is patience and genuine care. You're not building relationships for immediate returns. You're creating a network of mutual support that will benefit everyone involved for decades. So, when you approach relationships with this long term mindset, every interaction becomes an investment in your collective future success. And as we wrap up today's episode, I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now. You're sitting in a coffee shop, maybe in Mumbai, maybe in Singapore, maybe in San Francisco. Your phone buzzes with messages from friends across the globe, your Canadian business partner sharing exciting startup news, your American friend inviting you to a wedding, your British professor recommending you for a speaking opportunity, and your German classmate proposing a collaborative project. This isn't just a dream. This is the reality that awaits students who master the art of building lifelong connections while studying overseas. Every strategy we discussed today is a stepping stone towards creating a global network that will support, challenge, and elevate you throughout your career. The students who succeed internationally aren't necessarily the smartest or most talented. They are the ones who understand that success is a team sport. They build bridges instead of walls, create communities instead of competing alone, and invest in relationships that compound over decades. Your overseas education isn't just about getting a degree. It's about becoming a global citizen who can navigate different cultures, build international partnerships, and create opportunities that transcend geographical boundaries. The connections you build during these formative years will become the foundation of your global success story. And here's your life changing call to action. And I want to take this seriously because your future success depends on it. Don't wait until you reach your overseas destination to start thinking about connections. Start building your relationship mindset and skills right now and today. But here's the most important action I want you to take: commit to being a giver rather than a taker in all your relationships. Start practicing this mindset now by helping your current friends, classmates, and colleagues without expecting anything in return. This generous approach to relationships will become your natural way of connecting with people overseas. Share this episode with 3 friends who are planning to study abroad. Better yet, start a study group where you practice these connection strategies together. Create accountability partnerships where you support each other's relationships building goals. And finally, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Promise that you won't waste the incredible opportunity that studying overseas represents. Promise that you'll step out of your comfort zone, embrace cultural differences, and invest in relationships that will transform your life and your career. Remember, connections aren't just about what others can do for you, they are about what you can achieve together. When you master the art of building lifelong relationships, you don't just advance your own career, you become a part of a global community that creates positive change in the world. Your adventure in connection building starts now. The question isn't whether you'll meet people overseas. The question is whether you'll transform those meetings into lifelong bonds that change the trajectory of your life forever. So until next time, keep connecting, keep growing, and keep building the global network that will support your dreams for decades to come. And this is Kapil Gupta signing off from the Kapil Gupta Career Pod Show. So see you in the next episode.